Makes leather purses. It has drawn up the following budget for its next financial period. Selling price per unit 11.6, variable production cost per unit 3.4, sales commission 5% of selling price, fixed production costs 430,500, fixed selling and administration costs 198,150, sales 90,000 units. Alright, so part A, calculate the break-even point in units. Remember, break-even is where you do not make any profit. Your revenue is equal to your total cost. Okay, so you do not make any profit. Okay, so remember the formula for break-even point in units. Break-even point in units, BEP in units equals total fixed costs over contribution per unit. Colleagues, what is contribution? What is contribution? Yes, sales minus variable costs. Okay, now to a layman who doesn't know that formula, or after you tell him that formula, you ask, okay, now after you subtract selling minus variable costs, what does that mean? I believe everyone is a cost accountant here. Okay, wherever you are working, you're the cost accountant. And during the annual general meeting of your company, you do talk about contribution. Mr. Augustus, what is contribution? It is the money after you cover your variable costs that is used to cover now your fixed costs. Okay, contribution to cover the fixed costs. Okay, and you expect to remain with even some extra after you cover the fixed costs. Not that it just covers the fixed costs and you remain with zero. No, after this money covers the fixed costs, you have to remain with some. Okay, so just think of contribution as the money after you cover your variable costs, which is now left to cover your fixed costs. Okay, so first things first, we need to get our total fixed costs. Total fixed costs. Okay, total fixed costs. We said we have fixed production costs, plus fixed selling and admin costs, so 430,500 plus 198,150 what do we get? 430,500 plus 198,150.
It's giving us 628,150.
628,150. All right. Then remember our contribution per unit, selling price per unit, is selling price per unit minus the total variable costs per unit. Okay, total variable costs per unit. So we have this 3.4 kwacha, and then this sales commission is also a variable cost. Okay, because if sales goes up, the commission will also go up. If sales go down, the commission will go down. Okay, so it's a total variable costs (5% of the sales commission (5% of selling price). So 5% of 11.6, what do we get? Plus 3.4 kwacha. Hope no one's dozing. Madam Virginia, are you there? Mr. Augustus?
Yes, you are there.
Yes. Sorry, just on the total cost. The total fixed cost. It's supposed to be 650 at the end. 628, 650.
Oh, thank you, madam. That will prevent me from getting calls at 01. Sir, how come it's 628,150? And it was a typing error. Thank you, madam. So 5% of 11.6.
Zero point five eight.
0.58 plus 3.4.
3.98.
3.98. All right, so contribution per unit equals selling price per unit 11.6 minus 3.98. What do we get?
$7.62.
7.62. So now we can tabulate our break-even point in units. break-even point in units. Total fixed cost 628,000. 650 divided by 3.98. What do we get?
Two point nine eight or 7.62.
Oh, yeah. Colleagues, this is what fatigue does. Sorry. Thank you, madam. Thanks for being a late. Yeah. 628,650 divided by 7.62.
It's 2,500.
Each 2,500. Okay, so if this company produces 82,500 purses, it's going to break even. Okay, it is not going to make any profit. Okay, any questions? What about break? If I had to ask you break-even point in revenue, how would we get it? I know it's not part of the question, but if they had to ask the break-even point in revenue, how would we get it? Just to break-even point in units times the selling price. So you just say 82,500 units times 11.6. How much do we get? It's 2,500 plus 11.6. Yes, we're just tabulating the break-even point in revenue. So I was saying it's just a break-even point in units times the selling price. So 82,500 times 11.6.
957,000.
957,000, yes. So this company makes 957,000, it's broken even. Because this 957,000 will be used to cover all the costs and they remain with zero. Any questions before we go to part B? Okay, calculate the margin of safety in kwacha and as a percentage of sales revenue. So margin of safety, when we talk about it in terms of units, it just tells you by how many units your production can drop before you break even. Think of it as the room for error. Okay. Then when it's margin of safety in terms of revenue or in terms of sales, it's just telling us how much our sales can drop before we break even. So think of it as just the room for error. Okay. So one way we can do this, margin of safety, you can first get margin of safety in units and then multiply it by the selling price, get the margin of safety in revenue. Okay, so you just say margin of safety in units. Okay, basically this is our budgeted sales in units minus our break even in units. Here, we budget to sell 90,000 units. 90,000 units. Our break even in units is 82,500. 9,000 minus 82,500. 7,500. So our production can drop by 7,500 units before we break even. Okay? Our production can drop by 7,500 units before we break even. If our production drops more than 7,500 units, we're going to enter a loss. Okay? Margin of safety in kwacha. Okay? Just the margin of safety in units. Times your selling price. So 7,500 times 11.6. $87,000. Okay, so sales can drop by 87,000 before we break even. Okay, sales can drop by 87,000 before we break even. So as a company, we know, you should know that sales shouldn't drop by more than 87,000. And production shouldn't drop by more than 7,500 because we're going to be entering losses. Okay. Any questions before now we get it as a percentage of sales revenue? Margin of safety as a percentage of sales revenue, just margin of safety revenue divided by the sales revenue. $87,000 sales revenue. Remember, we are budgeting to sell 90,000 units at 11.6 kwacha per unit. So 90,000 times 11.6. $9 million. One million. 44,000. Okay. Times 100. Okay, so 87,000 divided by 1 million. 44,000. $7,000 divided by 1,044,000.
$8.3.
8.3%. Okay. You get 0.083, then multiplied by 100, get 8.3, right? 8.3%. So what this is telling us is if sales drop more than 8.3%, we will start losing money. Or we'll make a loss. So sales shouldn't drop more than 8.3%, meaning it shouldn't drop more than 87,000. Otherwise, we're going to make a loss. Any question before we go to part C? Given that the marketing manager has indicated that an increase in the selling price to 12.25 per unit would not affect the number of units sold, provided the sales commission is increased to 8% of the selling price, what is the new break-even point in units? Okay, so our fixed costs will still remain the same, it's just that our contribution per unit will change. Okay, so for part C, okay, we say total variable costs. Okay, so there is the 8% of the 12 kwacha 25 ngwe plus this 3 kwacha 14 ngwe, okay, plus 3.4. What do we get? 8% of 12.25. Give me that value. Excuse me. What's the new value? Eight percent of 12.25.
0.98.
Say it again.
0.98.
Okay, 0.98 plus 3.4.
4.38.
4.38. All right. Then contribution per unit. 12.25 minus 4.38. What do we get?
7.87.
7.87. So break-even point in units. Total fixed costs, we said it was what's called this 62850 divided by 7.98, 7.87.
79,879.
79,000.
879.28.
Okay, since they're in units, so we just round off to the nearest whole number. So 79,879, right? Yes. So colleagues, what have we noticed here? Can someone tell me what we have noticed here? Look at the break-even at first. The break-even at first was how many units? 82,500 units. Now we increased the selling price, and by increasing the selling price, what we noticed, our contribution. Our contribution per unit increased. Yes, our contribution per unit increased. And what have we noticed? A drop in the break-even point. Okay. So let me put it to you like this, so that I know you are managers where you are at, so they might come to consult you. How do we drop our break-even point in units? Okay. How do we drop our break-even point in units? So you tell them like this. You tell them there is an inverse relationship, okay, between the break-even point in units and the contribution per unit. Okay. If you tell them like this, if we keep our fixed costs constant, there's an inverse relationship between the contribution per unit and the break-even point. Meaning, if we can increase our contribution per unit, our break-even point in units is going to drop. Okay? But if we make the mistake of decreasing our contribution per unit, our break-even point in units is going to increase. Okay? So as a manager, you will say, if we want to reduce our break-even point in units, because as a business, it's better your break-even point in units is lower. You don't want it to be very high, because it means you need to produce a lot first to break even, then you have to produce more than the break even point. You want your break even point in units to be as low as possible, so that you can pass that cutoff point and make profit. Okay. So to reduce your break even point, while your fixed costs stay constant, try as much to increase your contribution per unit, and your break even point will drop. And then they might ask you, how do we increase the contribution per unit? Madam Virginia, how do we increase the contribution per unit? Because that will be the next question they'll ask. Since you are maybe you are the management accountant of the firm. So that's Madam Virginia. Okay, you have said we have to increase our own contribution per unit to reduce our break-even point. So, how do we increase our contribution per unit? What would you tell them, Madam Virginia? Mr. Shepard? Mr. Augustus? Increase your selling price. That's how you increase your contribution per unit. Increase your selling price. When you increase your selling price, okay, you're most likely, or you reduce your variable costs. One of the two. It's either you increase your selling price or you reduce your variable costs. If you can do both, even better. You might even get a promotion. Okay, you might get a promotion. Because it's not easy to increase the other and leave the other one constant or reduce it. Okay? So that's how you increase your contribution per unit, or your overall contribution. Increase the selling price or try to reduce your variable costs. Either do one of the two or try to do both.